Why should you trust astrology? Well, you don't. You don't have to. It's a choice. The principles of astrology are based on free will. So you decide if astrology can work for you or against you. The reason why I wanted to record this podcast is because, believe it or not, I get asked sometimes when I tell people I'm an astrologer, they ask me, do you really believe in astrology? I kid you not. There are people who ask that question. And no, I don't believe in astrology. I feel the astrology. I experience the astrology. And I see it everywhere around me. And that's the beauty of astrology. No one needs to prove anything that it works or that it's true. Because astrology goes so much deeper than our rational mind. And that is what I think is the most fascinating part about astrology. I am not going to convince you why it works. I'm not going to convince you how it is informing your life, guiding, and giving you so many options to choose from. And you can just ignore them all. I mean, we've all seen people who've been in a situation where they have been presented with so many signs to maybe leave a relationship. And you see the signs clearly left and right, and they don't see it. It's the same with astrology. You can clearly see the signs everywhere, but you still get to make the decision. And this is specifically in situations that are challenging. When you are presented with the truth, you maybe need to make a decision. You need to let go of something, or there is something really interesting that comes on your path. You get to choose. Like when I made the decision to move to Thailand, I saw all the signs pointing me into the direction of Thailand. I traveled there, I met someone. I was not able to get a job in the Netherlands because of the recession in 2009. I mean, I sent out like 50 application letters and nothing. There were so many signs. I didn't have my own apartment yet. I didn't have any responsibilities. So why not go? If I would have let my rational mind tell me and inform me, then I would have never moved to Thailand. But the years that I spent in Thailand gave me so much. I mean, honestly, I probably wouldn't have even started my own business if I hadn't moved to Thailand. Also, there were some very strong astrological signs for me to move and to get a change of environment. Now, that doesn't always mean that if this certain aspect shows up in somebody's chart that they have to move across the world. But very often it informs them that there is more out there. And sometimes that just means maybe moving to a different house or a slightly different location or changing something in their home environment. It doesn't always have to be so radical, leaving your friends and family behind and moving to the other side of the world to start your own family. But this is, by the way, it's so fascinating. I was just looking outside the window and there's this really big bumblebee. Oh, two actually. Two bumblebees right outside the window. I always love these animal signs. When I recorded the first podcast of my private podcast, The Cosmic Confirmation, I literally saw in, I think it was 5 minutes time, I saw 4 different types of birds flying around in the garden. See, these are signs. I mean, you could just say, oh, it's a coincidence. Spring has just started, so of course you're going to see more animals. But the fact that there are 2 bumblebees, like, literally flying around the window, coming back and forth. I think they might be building some sort of nest near the window. You could say that's coincidence. The fact that I met my husband because I was on the wrong bus. And then the bus journey took way longer. So I stopped in a little town at the border between Thailand and Laos. And I stayed in Thailand for a little bit longer because I was so tired. And that next morning, I met 4 people who were volunteering at my husband's organization at that time. And I decided to visit the organization. You could call that coincidence. You could call it coincidence that I got on the wrong bus, that I met those 4 people in the guest house, that I went to check out the organization. Sure. Call it coincidence. I definitely don't call it that. I call it was divinely orchestrated. But I still had the choice. Every single time I had the choice and I chose for the easiest path. I could have gotten really angry that I got on the wrong bus, pushed through, crossed the border really late at night. I could have done that, but I didn't. I could have just moped in my guest house and ate my breakfast and then arranged everything so I could cross the border that day, but I didn't. I felt that I needed the rest. And this is the same thing with astrology and the power of it. Because the thing that my clients say the most is, oh, this is such good confirmation. The reason why I named my private podcast Cosmic Confirmation is because it feels so amazing to get that confirmation from the cosmos, from your own chart, from things that are going on. And there's the bumblebee again. Things that are going on in your life. To have your chart inform you, hey, look, this is what is going on. These are the choices, because astrology doesn't tell you what to do. It gives you the options. It gives you the choice. You go with the energy or you go against it. I once had a client and I told her, I can see that your marriage is at a really crucial point, or your relationship. And decisions need to be made. And I felt nervous saying that because I don't want to make any assumptions. I go into looking at a chart very open and wanting them to give me feedback. But this one came through really strongly for me. Because astrology is it's reading the chart, but it is also interpreting and getting intuitive downloads. It's funny because that's a part of me that I pushed away for quite some time and didn't talk about because I wanted to make astrology as practical as possible, which still is my mission. And I also acknowledge the fact that I get these intuitive hits. That sometimes it almost feels like my mouth is just speaking the words that somebody is whispering to me. Like they almost don't come from me, they come through me. And that was the case in that moment. And I almost wanted to apologize for saying that. And then she started crying because she said, I am at a very pivotal moment. And I honestly don't know if I have the strength to continue my marriage and to go through this next phase. He said, I don't know. And it feels so good to hear that I am at this pivotal moment where I get to make the decision. But I don't have to wait for things to get better, or I don't have to wait for any external factor to change. She said, now I feel like I can make the decision. And in the end, she decided not to get divorced, but to really choose for herself. And then they both decided to work on it on a very different angle, an angle that was in her chart. Now, I won't go into the details because I believe that's too personal, but it was her choice What feels the easiest to me right now in a difficult situation? Because it's not an easy place to be in, whether to get divorced or not. That is a really heavy subject. But the astrology gave her the tools to see what was the easiest, what felt the easiest to her. So then if you ask me, do you believe in astrology? It is everywhere around us. The fact that we are seeing leaders trying to hold on to their power with every ounce of their being. That's the astrology that we're in. We're reforming everything right now. Restructuring. We're seeing politics in a different way. We're seeing all of the systems that used to support us. We know that no longer works for us, for the planet, for humanity. That is the phase that we're in. And you can say that's a coincidence that aligned with the astrology. Well, then we have come up with a lot of coincidence. This is not a coincidence. Like I said, I'm not going to convince you, but think back in your life where you made decisions out of a complete alignment with your gut instinct, where your head wasn't taking over, but your instinct did. And making those decisions led you to where you are at today. And that can be traced back to astrology. And the beauty is, once you start to understand the phases and the patterns that you're in right now, is that you can make even more informed decisions. You're able to distinguish between a thought and a feeling. Am I rationalizing my way out of the situation? Or am I really feeling into the situation and then making an informed decision? Because in the end, that's what it's all about. Making that informed decision that then leads into inspired action. We're not going to turn it around. We're not going to make the decision and then feel how we feel about the decision. Astrology allows you to feel what it is about and then take the next steps. So how can you trust the astrology more? Well, one good place to start is to sign up for my private podcast, The Cosmic Confirmation, where I give you weekly forecasts as well as weekly reflection moments so that you can prepare ahead with the forecast, you know what's going on in the week, and you can make decisions based on what feels best. And sometimes there are days where it's not necessarily very good to make a big decision, and you will know that. Then at the end of the week, we have a reflection moment where we reflect on what has happened. What are the things that went on? And how can I close the loops of that week and integrate everything that happened so that I can go into the new week with fresh and new energy? For more information about that, you can go to patriciapanassi.com/cosmic, or you can look in the show notes because there's a direct link. If you have any questions about this, please feel free to let me know. And there you have it. This is how you can trust astrology in your business and in your life, because it is going to bring you so much more ease and so many beautiful, informed decisions are ahead of you. I will speak to you again very soon.